Yeah, it's a little bit more at the end of that last video about naive psychology or folk psychology. I mean, the model of that is that you know, we all very quickly develop a kind of first draft understanding of what the psyche is, and whilst we might learn more information about it as we get older and as we become more educated, the original draft never really goes away, because it's part of the operating system of our thinking and part of the operating system of our minds, really, if you like. So you know, a description of that first draft might be that, you know, we are animated entities. We have these things called beliefs. We are driven by these things called desires or urges. We are we can utilize this faculty called the will to serve particular ends. We can create these things called objectives that our will drives us, that our will steers us towards, using the drives of our desires and urges. So we have these different components, one of which being will, which might break down itself into smaller components. And this is a kind of first draft version of what a psyche is. It isn't an analytical model of the psyche, although it might have some overlaps with some particularly psychoanalytic models. But it's not a real description of neurological functioning or of well, there's no empirical evidence for it. It's, as I say, it's how the psyche built itself up from its own bootstraps, you know what I mean? Starting from this basic dualism I mentioned in my previous video. I mean, that's kind of the idea of naive psychology. And will is one of the components of those. Compelling, just like all the other components are compelling. You know, we all believe that we have this thing called a self, as I've mentioned before, and it's incredibly compelling. To the point where we can't really talk about it as an illusion, any more than a shadow is an illusion, or I don't know, any other kind of emergent thing is an illusion. It's not really an illusion, but it's just of a different kind of order of language when you're talking about those things to when you're talking about other aspects of what psychological functioning is. And it might not always be useful, you know what I mean? It might not always be useful, in the same way that it's not always useful to think about the kind of Cartesian subjective self. It's not always useful to think about this driver, this will, this cybernaut.